Claude Fable 5 for free right now, and you'll find a whole genre. Videos promising unlimited access, no credit card, no API, no limits, usually in under 5 minutes, usually with an emoji in the title. Here's what happens if you actually follow that genre for a few weeks, which I did so you don't have to. About half the methods are already dead by the time you try them. The promo ended, the loophole closed, the proxy vanished. A chunk of what's left quietly asks you to do something against somebody's terms of service. And the survivors mostly turn out to be a different model wearing a Fable 5 label. So this is the other kind of video. Every route in here is officially offered by someone Anthropic or a legitimate partner. No tricks, no borrowed accounts, no gray market proxies. For each route, I'll tell you what you actually get, where the edges are, what it's genuinely good for, and, because this channel has a rule about it, where the data goes when the price is zero. And there's a section in the middle that the rest of this genre will never make, the methods I refuse to show you, and exactly why each one eventually burns the person using it. If you watch nothing else, watch that, it'll save you an account, and possibly your credentials. One framing note before we start. The reason this question matters at all. Fable 5 is, at the time of recording, the most intelligent generally available model, the top of Anthropic's lineup, back at full worldwide availability since the start of July. When the strongest model in the world has legitimate free doors, knowing where they are is genuinely useful, knowing which doors are fake is more useful still. Confirmed versus reported, as always. Let's go. First, the 3 kinds of free, one more time. Regular viewers know this framework, and it matters more here than anywhere, because this genre survives by blurring these together. Kind 1, a first-party free tier. The company itself gives you an allowance. Most stable, most honest, and the limits are published where you can read them. Kind 2, bundled or third-party free access. Someone else pays for the model and gives you a slice, an app with a daily allowance, a platform with free credits, a workplace or school that already has seats, legitimate, useful, and dependent on someone else's continued generosity. Kind 3, promotional trials. Launch credits, evaluation allowances, real worth taking, and temporary by design, which is exactly the kind that free Claude videos film in week 1 and never update when it ends. Everything I'm about to show you fits one of those 3. Anything that fits none of them, anything whose answer to who is paying for this, is a shrug, belongs in the refuse section. And we'll get there. Before the routes, what you're actually chasing, and one honest question about whether you should. 30 seconds of context, because it changes how you value everything after it. Fable 5 sits in what Anthropic calls the Mythos class, a tier above the Opus line that used to be the ceiling. It's the model that made news all year. The export control pause, the July return, the assisted mathematics result. When people search the best model for free, this is the one they mean, and the demand is completely rational. But here's the question the free access genre never asks. Has the thing you're chasing already gotten cheap in a different wrapper? Because late this month, Anthropic shipped Claude Opus 5, and by the published coverage, it lands within 0.5% of Fable 5's peak on the main agentic coding benchmark at half the cost per task, with Opus pricing unchanged. Read that again from a bargain hunter's perspective. The gap between the absolute best and the next tier down just compressed to a rounding error for most work, and the next tier down got dramatically more efficient. Which means the honest hierarchy for a cost-conscious person in 2026 looks like this. For the hardest 20% of your work, Fable 5 through the legitimate free routes below, or Opus class through a modest paid plan if you're doing it daily. For everything else, the open models. Because as we've covered all month, the open weight world is now within roughly a generation of the frontier. And a generation is a smaller gap than it has ever been. So chase Fable 5 for free. This video will show you every honest door. But hold the chase lightly. The most useful outcome of the testing framework later in this video might be discovering that you didn't need the very top of the mountain after all. That's not a consolation prize, that's the entire economics of AI in 2026 working in your favor. Route 1, the front door. The Claude.ai free plan. The least exciting answer is the best one. And the genre skips it precisely because it's not exciting. Anthropic runs a free plan on Claude.ai. Sign up, no card. And you're talking to Claude in the same interface the paid users get, web, mobile app, or desktop. Now the 2 honest questions about it. Question 1, do you get Fable 5 on the free tier? Here's the truthful answer, and it's the sentence this entire genre refuses to say, model availability on free tiers changes. And the only reliable answer is the model picker in front of you. Frontier labs rotate which models free users get, flagships sometimes appear with tight limits, sometimes during launch windows, sometimes the free tier serves the fast mid-tier model instead. Any video that states it as a permanent fact is describing a snapshot. So, open the model picker, look at what it says today, and check Anthropic's pricing page, linked below, for what the free plan currently includes. That 30-second check beats any claim I could record here. Question 2, what are the limits? The shape is the honest thing to describe. Free tiers on Frontier chat products are net message capped with resets. You get a meaningful daily allowance that scales with demand, and heavy days hit the ceiling. The exact numbers move, so I'm not going to state one for the algorithm to preserve after it's wrong. The current figures live on the pricing and support pages, and I've linked both. What this route is genuinely good for, and this is the part that matters. The free plan is superb for exactly the usage pattern most people actually have. The several times a day hard question, the gnarly email, the code you don't understand, the document you need summarized, the decision you want a second opinion on. For that pattern, the front door is honestly enough, and it comes with the real interface, artifacts, file uploads, the features around the model, rather than a stripped proxy. What it can't be, your high-volume workhorse. If you're running an agent loop or processing files all day, a message-capped chat tier is the wrong shape entirely. And pretending otherwise is how the unlimited videos earn their angry comment sections. For volume, the answer is the hybrid we come back to constantly, and it's later in this video. Route 2, multi-model apps with daily allowances. There's a category of legitimate product whose whole business is buying model access wholesale and giving users a metered slice. Multi-model chat platforms. You've seen them, one app, a drop-down with every frontier model, a daily allowance of free messages or points, and paid tiers for more. The honest read on this category: it's a real and legitimate route with 3 specific caveats. First, the allowance for flagship models is always the smallest, a handful of messages a day on the top model, more on the mid-tiers, fine for sampling, not for living. Second, you're adding a company between you and the model. Your conversations flow through their systems under their privacy policy, not Anthropic's. Read it. This is the standing rule on this channel. Free access is a trade, and the currency is usually data or attention. That's not sinister, it's how the products work, but you should know whose terms you're under. Third, verify the label on a legitimate platform. The model list is accurate. On the sketchier corners of this category, Claude in the dropdown is sometimes wishful. A practical tell: legitimate platforms name exact model versions and update them visibly when new ones ship. Gray ones say Claude with no version at all. Good for comparing models side by side. Genuinely the best use, and how I'd evaluate whether Fable 5 beats whatever you currently use for free this week. Not 4, anything sensitive until you've read the policy of the middleman. Route 3, trials and starter credits, the honest promotional layer. Anthropic and its partners periodically run the standard promotional machinery. Trial periods for paid plans, evaluation credits for the developer console, launch window offers, cloud platforms that resell Claude. The big 3 all carry Anthropic models, have their own free credit programs for new accounts, and those credits can be pointed at Claude models through the platform. 3 things to hold about this whole layer. They're real and worth taking. If a trial or credit exists when you're watching, it's the best pure sample of the full product you can get. Actual API access, actual flagship, no middleman. They're temporary by design. Every one of these has an end date or a spend cap. That's not a trap, it's the definition. The failure mode isn't taking the credit, it's building a workflow on it and being surprised. And they're the #1 source of dead free Claude videos. A promo gets filmed, the video ranks, the promo ends, and the video keeps collecting clicks and disappointing people for a year. Which is why I'm describing the category and linking the official pages rather than reciting today's offers. The pages update, a recording doesn't. One genuinely underused variant here: hackathons, research programs, and startup programs. Anthropic and its partners run credit programs for builders, researchers, and student developers through official channels. If you're building something real, those applications are short and the allowances are meaningful. That's the legitimate version of what the gray method's fake. Route 4, the seat you already have. This is the most overlooked route on the list, and for a real slice of viewers, the biggest allowance available to them. Your employer or your school may already pay for Claude. Claude for work and enterprise deployments come with seats, and in a lot of organizations, seats sit unused because nobody announced them twice. Same with education. Institutions arrange access through official programs, and if your institution genuinely provides it, using it is exactly what it's for. The test is one sentence. Access that an organization you genuinely belong to provides through official channels is legitimate. Access you get by pretending to belong somewhere is not. Same door, completely different standing, and we're one section away from why the second version costs more than it gives. So before you engineer anything clever, ask IT, ask your department, check the internal tools page. The most boring email you send this week might come back with a frontier model attached. Now, the section this genre will never make, the 4 methods I won't show you, and why each one burns you. I'm not going to teach these. I'm going to name the categories so you recognize them, because every one of them is dressed up as a method in videos with big view counts right now. Category 1, pretending to be someone you're not. Fake student status, borrowed institutional logins, region tricks. Beyond the obvious, it's dishonest and against the terms you clicked. Here's the practical cost. Access built on a false identity fails retroactively. Verification improves, the account goes, and everything attached to it goes too. You didn't get free Claude, you got a countdown. Category 2, shared and traded accounts. Group buys, passed around logins, family plans of strangers. The person who controls the credentials controls your conversations, your history, and if you ever attached payment. More than that, you're not sharing an account, you're giving strangers your usage history, and trusting the terms of people who by definition break terms. Category 3, gray proxies and free Claude API sites. This is the one I actually need you to hear, because it's not a rules issue, it's a safety issue. Sites offering a free Claude endpoint are, with depressing regularity, one of 3 things. A different, cheaper model answering under a Fable 5 label, a metering trick that harvests whatever you send through it, or resold access from stolen keys, which dies the moment the theft is noticed. Whatever you paste into an endpoint you can't account for, you have published. Code, documents, credentials in your prompts, gone to someone whose business model is free frontier model, no questions. The question that unmasks every one of these is the same. Who is paying for this and why? If there's no good answer, you're the payment. Category 4. Automation against chat interfaces, scripting a chat product to fake an API. It's against the terms, it's fragile, it gets accounts banned in batches, and it's the most recycled method in the genre because it demos well and dies quietly. Here's the pattern across all 4, and it's the actual lesson. Illegitimate free access doesn't fail politely. It fails all at once, retroactively, and usually at the worst time, taking your account, your history, or your data with it. The legitimate routes above are smaller and slower. They're also still standing next month. That trade is the whole video. The testing framework, how to actually evaluate Fable 5 for free. Now the constructive part, because the real reason most people search this topic isn't daily free usage. It's a fair question. Is the best model actually better enough for me to care? Here's how to answer that for $0 in 1 week using only the routes above. Day 1, set the baseline. Collect 5 real tasks from your actual work, not puzzles, your work. The email you actually have to write, the code you actually have to fix, the document you actually have to digest. Run them through whatever you currently use and save the outputs. Through the week, run the same 5 through Fable 5 via whichever legitimate route serves it to you today. The front door if the picker offers it, a multi-model platform's daily allowance if not, a trial if one's live. Don't binge it. The message caps are the constraint, so spend them only on the 5 tasks. Then judge the gap honestly. Not which sounds smarter, which output would you actually ship with fewer edits. That's the only benchmark that matters. It's specific to your work, and no leaderboard can run it for you. 3 outcomes, all good. If the gap is big, you've learned a paid plan would earn its price. That's genuinely worth knowing. If the gap is small, congratulations. You've just discovered with evidence that the free and local stack we cover every week already carries your work. And if it's mixed, better on hard things, same on routine, you've independently discovered the 80-20 split this channel is built on. Routine volume on free and local, one strong model reserved for the hard 20%. The free routes in this video are precisely the right size for that 20%. 5 questions I know are coming. Is the free tier serving the same model quality as paid? When the model picker says the same model string, it's the same model. Labs don't secretly serve you a worse version under the same name. That would be a scandal worth the name. What differs is everything around it. Message caps, feature access, priority during busy periods. The honest check is the one from earlier. Read the picker, not the marketing. Why does Anthropic even run a free tier? The boring true answer, it's the top of a funnel, and it's the cheapest demonstration of the product that exists. Some users convert to paid. The free usage also teaches the company how people use the product. That's a legitimate exchange, and it's exactly why the who is paying test clears this route. You know who's paying, and you know why. Can I use the free routes for work? 2 separate questions hiding in one. Terms-wise, read the usage policies. Personal free tiers and commercial use have rules worth 2 minutes of your time. Data-wise, your employer's rules matter more than the provider's. Plenty of companies prohibit pasting internal material into any external AI, free or paid. If that's your situation, this is another argument for the local stack, where the question dissolves. Is there a permanently free API tier? As of recording, the API is a paid product, full stop. What exists on the API side is the promotional layer, evaluation credits and programs, which come and go. Anyone selling you a permanent free Claude API is describing category 3 from the refused list, and now you know the question to ask them. Do my free conversations train the model? The accurate answer is, this is exactly what the data controls in your settings and the published privacy documentation are for, and both are linked below. What I'll say on principle, rather than from a page I can't verify live, assume free products learn from usage, unless the settings let you say otherwise. Make the choice deliberately, and never let anything sensitive ride on an assumption. That habit protects you across every provider, not just this one. The honest limits, 4 of them. 1. Everything here is a snapshot except the structure. Free tiers resize, promos end, model pickers rotate. What doesn't change is the taxonomy, first-party, bundled, promotional, and the who is paying test. 6 months from now, run new offers through that filter and you won't need an updated video. 2. Free tiers are for people, not pipelines. Every route here is sized for a human asking questions. None of them is an API substitute for automation, and stretching them into one is how legitimate access becomes Category 4. 3. The data rule applies to every route. First-party tiers publish their data terms, read them, and note that settings pages typically let you make choices about training data. Third-party platforms have their own terms on top. The sentence that generalizes, the freer and further from first-party the access, the more carefully you read before pasting anything sensitive. For genuinely private material, the answer on this channel is always the same. Local models where the question doesn't arise. 4. I can't tell you today's numbers, and I'm not going to pretend. Any specific quota I recorded this week would be wrong within months, and this video would join the graveyard it's criticizing. The current figures are 2 clicks away on the official pages below. Teaching you where the truth lives beats reciting a number that expires. That's not a cop-out. It's the only version of this video that stays honest. A real week on the free stack. Let me make it concrete, because routes are abstract and a week isn't. Monday, you hit a genuinely hard problem, an architecture decision, a contract clause, a bug that's eaten an hour, you spend one of your front door messages on it. That's what the allowance is for the 20%. Tuesday through Thursday, your routine volume, summaries, drafts, boilerplate, explanations, runs on your local model. The setups we've covered at genuinely zero, with nothing leaving your machine. The free tier isn't touched because the free tier isn't for volume. Friday, a new model drops. It's 2026, one will, and you spend 10 minutes on a multi-model platform running your 5 baseline tasks against it next to Fable 5. Free, side by side, your work is the benchmark. And at no point this week did you hand your credentials to a proxy, fake a student ID, or paste client code into an endpoint run by nobody. Total cost, 0. Total accounts at risk, 0. That's the whole system, and it's boring in exactly the way that things that keep working are boring. Step back because there's a bigger point under this one. The everything for free, no limits genre exists because it films well. The methods demo perfectly in week 1. That's the trick of it. The costs all arrive later. The dead promo, the banned account, the harvested prompt, the model that was never Fable 5 to begin with. By then the video has its views and you have the bill. The legitimate map is less cinematic. A front door with published limits allowances someone honestly pays for, promos that say they're promos, and a seat you might already have. Smaller numbers, real ones. And here's the thing about real numbers. They're still there when you come back. The entire premise of this channel is that owning something small beats renting the illusion of something unlimited, and nowhere is that clearer than here. The free access worth having is the kind that survives being looked at. So here's my question, and I'll pin it below. What's your legitimate free stack for frontier models? Which routes are you actually using front door platforms trials, a seat you found at work, and which did I miss? Legitimate only, the comment section is not the place to complete the gray market list, and I'll moderate accordingly. But if there's an official program I haven't covered, a credit scheme, a research program, a regional offer, name it because the best version of this map is the one this comment section builds. Every link, the official pricing page where the current free plan details live, the support page for limits, the console and credit program pages, and our full guides to the local and free stack that carries the other 80% is in the description. That's the standard here. The real explanation, sourced in plain English, with the limits stated and the traps named. If you'd rather understand the future than be sold it, subscribe. That's what we do every single day. I'll see you in the next one.